While our class is called the Pride of Texas, when tasked with finding lost apple breeds, it was decided that we would better our chances by expanding our search beyond just Texas and looking to our neighboring states. One of the most obvious choices for this was New Mexico. And being from New Mexico originally, I was an obvious candidate for the New Mexico exploration team. Unfortunately, searching for apples out in another state meant the majority of research had to be done via phone calls and emails, with the chance for an out of state trip being few and far between. I was able to visit only two orchards in person, Nichols Ranch and Orchard in La Luz, New Mexico, and Runyon Ranches in High Rolls, New Mexico. Another unfortunate and disheartening development was the second complete shutdown of the state of New Mexico due to COVID-19. This didn't make for exceptional opportunities to document my findings in any fun or creative ways, but I got the information in the end, which is really the most important thing. Being a part of the New Mexico team, I took 7 orchards on in hope of finding an apple which was unique, a longtime family favorite, or a mystery which would lead to the rediscovery of a lost variety. Unfortunately, this did not end up happening in my research. I did not receive any leads on apples which I believe to be a lost variety. I even made a few phone calls to my great aunt and uncle who live on a 100-plus-year-old plantation home in South Carolina with plenty of fruit trees on the property, the kind which I hoped would harbor a long-lost fruit that we have been searching for. This was all to no avail. Despite some of the development and the lack of lost apples in my research, I was still surprised to find the diversity of different types of apples among the orchards I was able to make contact with. So I will find my sharings regardless of the fact that they are not the apple which will give me an A. The first orchard which I contacted was Von Bach Farm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. At first, I was hopeful in learning that they have multiple trees which are over 100 years old, usually the kind that we're searching for in this kind of research. However, I found that they consisted only of wine saps, golden delicious, and red delicious apples. They have planted newer varieties in more recent years, which turned out to be Esopus Spitzenberg, Cornish, and Honeycrisp apples. The next 2 orchards I was able to visit in person, Nichols and Runyon. It was fun and exciting to get to see the orchards in person, and I even got to try some of the cider of Nichols Ranch. The sweet cider was not of a lost variety, though. Between these 2 locations, they grew mostly Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, Wine Sap, Jonathan, and Honeycrisp apples. These apples were much newer at Runyon than I was expecting. The majority of their trees were less than 100 years old, only having 2 or 3 which were older than that. The next orchard I researched was Rancho Arco Iris in Dixon, New Mexico. They had a smaller selection with only Golden Delicious, Red Delicious, Jonathan, and Rome apples. After Rancho, I looked into Manzano Mountain Retreat and Apple Ranch. With apple specifically included in the name twice in 2 different languages, I was expecting them to have a wide variety, and I was not disappointed. Supposedly, they boast over 2,000 apple trees and 32 different varieties, the main ones of which include Honeycrisp, Suncrisp, Arkansas Black, Pippin, Orange Pippin, Ozark, Red Delicious, Yellow Delicious, Golden Delicious, Spartan, Rome, McIntosh, Winesap, Blaze, and Jonathan. Unfortunately, none of these were available in 2020 due to the ranch losing their apple harvest in a freeze earlier this year. Following this devastating news from Manzano Mountain, I looked on to Romero's Orchard in Embudo, New Mexico, about a 45-minute from Taos, if you know where that is. Romero's Orchard had a smaller, yet not insignificant selection of apples, including Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, Rome Beauty, Winesap, Stamen Winesap, McIntosh, Jonathan, Red Rome, and Johnny Red apples. I also plan on contacting Kirby Orchards near Farmington, but was not able to make contact with them to find out what varieties of apples they grew. I did find out, however, that they often sell their fruit at the Farmington Farmers Market. Just another plug for the Farmers Market like we've been making this year. And they have about 16 different varieties. While I couldn't find any exact documentation of the apples that are grown at Kirby, I found some pictures and, to the best of my ability, tried to find out if these were the apples that we were looking for. Of course, I'm not an apple expert, but I think it looked like much of the same from the other orchards that I had already looked into. Despite the fact that my efforts did not produce much fruit, I think it would be wise to continue looking to New Mexico as a possible location of lost apple varieties. New Mexico is truly a farming and agriculture state, and I'm sure there are many apple trees that have yet to be discovered, and it only takes one lucky one to rekindle a dying variety. As long as we keep our eyes peeled in the future and continue to be vigilant in our research, just like Professor Gamesa was on his trip to Lincoln National Forest, I have few doubts that someone won't rediscover a lost apple from New Mexico.